Hi again. Since I've made the fullest possible use of my pocket chess set in presenting to you videos on chess, I thought it might be a useful opportunity to give you some of the details of the background to this set, which you are looking at in front of you now. Just to open it up. I acquired this chess set well over 25 years ago. I purchased it in the south of England for a reasonable amount of money. When I went into the antique shop where it was on display, this set was covered in varnish, and that's not usually a very attractive feature. Like, you shouldn't really paint quality woods, it doesn't do anything for them. So the only thing that you can do then is to strip the paint off or to take the varnish off. There isn't a problem in taking the varnish off. My background in woodwork at my old school and with being involved in antiques down the years, it quickly indicated to me that the matter could be dealt with some fine wire wool, grade 400, scrape all the varnish off, and then beeswax it, which is what has happened to the set. As you can see, the varnish, in fact, as is the same with paint, it preserves the wood, it stops the atmospherics getting to it, but it does nothing for the appearance. So what you do is you take that finish off and you reapply beeswax, which should have been done in the first place, but that's not a problem, as you can see from this. This set, it had been out on display by whoever had owned it in the past, because all these holes were blocked and I had to dig out the dust that had accumulated over many decades in order to be able to use the pieces. The set itself is circa 1870. I've seen them advertised in publications from around about that time, and it's not entirely clear where this one was made, but it would be either England or France, and quite possibly through the Jean-Jacques and Son company that made the Staunton chess pattern back in 1849 and continued to do so. This set is mahogany box, all mahogany down here. The inlaid squares, the dark ones are rosewood, the light ones are kingwood, and the pieces are ivory. Now, they're stained ivory, and as you can see from this, some of the red stain has come off. This is the only one of the red pieces where this has happened. So what it would seem to indicate to me is that whoever owned it, and before, of course, dust began to accumulate in the holes, they'd probably be in the habit of using the queen a lot, quite possibly in queen and pawn endgames. And so that is the explanation for that. But all the pieces are there. All the pins are intact, which is vitally important. If a pin should break, which we hope it won't, but if it should, then PVA, polyvinyl acetate glue, will probably do the job. It glues wood back together. It even glues china back together. I have tested that and it works. So anybody who's broken something made of china, if you get PVA glue, the white stuff, it will do the job on that. But what you have to particularly avoid here is something that my late Uncle Bill, who features in a couple of other items on my channel, mentioned to me some years ago. He was an avid chess player, and he knew this guy who also liked a game of chess. And the guy was telling him one day that he'd finished a game of chess, he'd thought no more about it, just put his pieces away. But the next time he got the set out, there was a piece missing, and the set was ruined. It was one of those choice sets where you can't just replace the piece. You know, modern set, plastic or something, well, there's no problem. You can just replace the whole set. But where you have an antiquated set like this, if you were to lose a piece of this set, then I'm afraid that the set would be ruined. And so it's not just the pins where you have to be careful. And in using a 90-degree or up and down movement is always best. Don't jerk it when it's in the hole, because that is exerting unnecessary pressure on the pin. So try not to do that. But to lose a piece would be dreadful. And so UB's advice to me was always count your pieces before you put them back in the box. Well, with this type of pocket chess set, you don't have to do that, because as you can see, once they're all lined up, you know that you have them all. Or alternatively, if you have a position that you want to come back to, and you want to leave it set out, and you have the captured pieces down the sides here, just count to make sure that you have all 32 of them, and then close it down, and you know that you're okay. Incidentally, this lining, it absolutely reeks of age. It did when I bought it, it still does. It reminded me of the smell of a chess book that I had many years ago, Staunton's Chess Player's Handbook. It was the second edition from 1848, and it positively reeked of age. Now this set is a little bit younger than Staunton's Chess Player Handbook, around about the 1870 mark. And I feel that this set, because of its age, it would be around when just about all of my content was around in its original form. The exception will be one of my videos that touches on William Wordsworth's Splendour in the Grass, which of course was written in the early part of the 19th century. But I think everything else is happening after the set was made. So it is a wonderful pocket chess set. It's from a bygone era, of course, with technology having largely replaced all of this sort of stuff. But I like to use something that is antiquated when I'm dealing with antiquated subjects. And so I feel the two sort of complement one another very nicely. In concluding, I would mention the late world chess champions Alexander Alekhine and Bobby Fischer. They both carried chess sets, probably of this type, around with them on a very regular basis. In fact, from what I can gather, Alekhine had his pocket chess set open beside him when he was found dead in Estoril in 1946. And he was also seen in the 1922 London tournament when they took a break at about the halfway stage, and Capablanca and Alekhine, who were leading the tournament, were invited, I believe, to go and have a look at a show involving young ladies. And of course Capablanca, with being a ladies' man, he was very keen on watching the stage. Whereas an onlooker noted that Alekhine wasn't looking at the stage, he was studying his pocket chess set. Interesting, isn't it? Considering Alekhine was married 4, or was it 5 times? But there you go. And on a final note to do with pocket chess sets, Bobby Fischer, he's often seen in images online with him looking at his set on the New York subway. Also an interesting anecdote from 1972 when the Fischer-Spassky World Championship match ended, and at the banquet, Spassky said to Fischer, "Ah, Bobby, I should have sealed that king move, shouldn't I?" To which Fischer replied, "No, Boris, that lost too." And out came his pocket chess set. Spassky was convinced. So, Bobby, Boris, Alexander, I'm keeping the pocket chess set going, old boys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks once again for watching, and goodbye for now.